PPT திரலனா பரவாயில்ல இதுல டைம் வேஸ்ட்
Okay,
பண்ணிட்டு
okay. I think we are live. Yeah, I think we are live. Hey guys, welcome to my first YouTube stream live. So we planned this on January 26th, and we had some issues, some audio issues. While I was speaking, I was not able to hear the guests, and when I was able to hear in the stream, we were not able to, hear our voices. And finally, when we were able to sort out everything, we could not get all of us together. Actually, today we are supposed to have three people, but finally, due to some plans, the other guy had obviously the Valentine's plan, unless us guys. Uh, so today, as I said, it is going to be about the top three best and worst prime ministers that we ever had. So before going to any of that, we have a guest with us. I'll just say a few words about him, and he will introduce himself as well. So this is Anbu Saravanan. I know Anbu through college, so we studied together. Uh, we studied engineering together for first couple of years, and that's another story for a later time maybe. Uh, so I chose Anbu because he has a certain political views, and it is kind of a strong political views, which at times even I learned few things from him. The idea for this stream was to have two or three differing views, but what happened was, you know, we were able to get a certain set of people. We wanted to get someone from someone who is, you know, um, the right. I mean. The right political right, we wanted to get someone, obviously we did not find. We were also trying to get someone who has centrist point of view. Maybe we are sort of center to left, and I don't know about Anbu. He might be left completely. Let's hear from him. Anbu, you can say a few words about yourself and some things. Yeah.
thanks, Vishnu. I mean, as you said, so we have that strange couple of years in engineering together, and I vaguely remember I was the one who was trying to get out of that college, and I was the one who planted that idea in your head. The only difference is we just worked it out, and I'm the one who was left alone. So yeah, and about like myself, I am Anbu, and I work in a private firm, and I am an aspiring actor, trained from Kutupatai. So yeah, sooner or later, I might or I could be a star. Like so, save this conversation for future.
Yes, guys, you might be looking at a future star.
Yeah, thank you. I wish. And one more thing, I mean, about when you said like center, left, and right, and all that. See, until this BJP regime, I had no idea about leftist thought or rightist thought. And thanks to this BJP government, like they kind of showed me what or which path I should choose. And also like I almost forgot like Periyar, like fondly called like his actual name was EV Ramasamy Nayakar. So I mean, he's a great guy, and like me, most of the my Tamil fellows have forgotten him. So only during this BJP regime, we got back to him, and we got back to our roots and all that. And in my opinion,
Not so
like
fast,
in this
Anbu. We will
government,
get, yeah, we will get to that part a bit later. But yeah, so that's
I know.
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
you
but
you
let
are,
me complete that. Like
yeah,
this is
yeah. That's
purely
what,
my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
Like this government, you either have to be leftist or or rightist. There is no such thing as like I'm a middleman. Like I support this, I support that. There is no such thing as Sumant C Raman here. You cannot be like in the middle and say this is good, that is good. See, this government is doing pathetic things. So you can't just support this government and say and call yourself a centrist. That is not going to work at all. It means that you are a fascist. That's it. Period.
So that's Anbu for you. If you have not figured out his political opinions from his, little introduction, I'm not sure what we'll do. Actually, if any of you guys are my Facebook friends, you might you might know me to be a kind of a strong-worded guy, but after listening to Anbu, I might look like a soft guy. And I was intervening, Anbu, because you were going right for it. We'll just pace it slowly and give strong punches in the end. Was my thought, but it's all right. Okay, so that's about it. So let's get into the topic today. And
Sure.
guys, if any of you are watching live, if you face, if there is any sound issues or anything, please, there is a chat window. This is live chat. You can let us know. Anbu, one moment. I will go on mute and check the stream for a minute whether the settings are proper. It is, and then we'll dive right back in. Okay.
Sure.
And
Sure.
guys, if as as I
Strange, couple of years, in
for a minute whether the settings are proper. Okay, we are good. We are good.
awesome.
Right. So I have a PowerPoint presentation because where we would be if not PowerPoint presentations. We are working in IT industry, God knows. So what we will do without PowerPoint presentation? So I have put together this PowerPoint presentation, and before getting into that, for the benefit of both Anbu and you know the viewers, let me tell the format here. So first of all, we'll just see a brief introduction about the list of prime ministers India ever had, little bit of numbers and statistics, and once that is done, I'll just say who are my favorite prime ministers and who are not so favorite or the worst prime ministers India ever had. I'll say three names, both three, and we'll hear from Anbu as well. What is his opinion? Who are the best and worst according to him? And then we will try to discuss each and every prime minister. We might be having limited knowledge about few of the prime ministers. Even myself, I did not know completely about all the prime ministers. I had to Google, do Wikipedia things and all that. So we will discuss important prime ministers at least, and at the end we'll just uh, and and at the end we will try to see whether we changed our mind according to the discussion or not. And in the chat, Anbu, in the chat we have Prem, our college mate Prem Kumar. He says, "Hi Anbu and Vishnu, how are you folks? And good to see you in the live stream." Hey Prem,
Okay.
how are you? Will
Hi,
uh,
Prem.
we yeah, we are doing good. Hope you are doing good as well. So that's going to be the format of the live stream. Okay, we are few slides ahead. Okay, so a little bit of introduction. So these are the list of prime ministers that India ever had. The first one is Jawaharlal Nehru, and then Gulzarilal Nanda, Lal Bahadur Shastri, again Gulzarilal Nanda, Indira Gandhi, Morarji Desai, Charan Singh, again Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, V.P. Singh, Chandrasekhar, P.V. Narasimha Rao, Vajpayee, Deve Gowda, Inder Kumar Gujral, again Vajpayee, Manmohan Singh, and Narendra Modi. So this is not only the list, but the timeline of the prime ministers. So how many of these you knew all of them, Anbu? Seeing the present, you miss. I mean, you knew all these, heard all these names already.
I mean, only for this research. Actually, apart from that, I only know very few names,
Nice.
and like honestly, we are not that old enough, to know, like most of them.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. I'll just go to the next slide. So these are the years in office. The longest is Jawaharlal Nehru. He was in office for 16 years, 286 days. Indira Gandhi 15 years, 350 days. Manmohan Singh 10 years, 4 days. Narendra Modi is 6 years running, currently 6 years running. Vajpayee 6 years. Rajiv Gandhi 5 years. And Narasimha Rao 4 years. And rest of the people were prime minister under 1 year or 2 years, as you can see in the list. So actually, this kind of tells a story, right, Anbu? Like the top three are from Congress, and then yeah, and the top four are kind of very strong personality, except Manmohan Singh, right? So we will discuss about this as well at the end. We'll look at it. So these, if you see, only six people completed 5 years, and if you include P.V. Narasimha Rao, who was there for 4 years, 330 days, seven prime ministers only had a full term. So yeah, Anbu. So we'll start with the topic. So out of
Sure.
these prime ministers, who are your top three best and top three worst? You can name
See,
them.
I'm not going to name best and worst. What I would say is, like the impact, the socio-political and the socio-economic impact created by those prime ministers. So for me, it would be like V.P. Singh, mainly because of, the implementation of Mandal Commission and all that.
Okay.
Because to me, this caste-based reservation, the much discussed topic after this, uh, the current, like 10 or 15 years. So I think, in a country where we have, more number of OBCs and scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, like reservation is something which is, which can uplift people economically, and by uplifting them, economically, you're also gonna, improve many aspects, with that, because in a country like India, like we have this caste based oppression and community riots and all that. So VP Singh did something revolutionary in his
Okay.
like 11 month term or something. So to me, VP Singh stands tall.
Okay.
And the next one is Jawaharlal Nehru, obviously, because all that, like we see, all the Brahminical institutes, IIT, IIM, and whatnot, all those were, I can see, you giggling,
Yeah,
but
maybe
yeah,
maybe we can go into the reasons and why later. Right now the list will do. So the first is VP Singh, second is Nehru. Do you have
yeah.
any third? Do you have a
Now,
third?
third, I would say, yeah, maybe, like Manmohan Singh, because he didn't do much damage for me.
I like your logic. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So those will be top three. So apart from that, do you like any other prime ministers? Forget about the top three. So these three you like. Apart from that, do you specifically like any other prime ministers for any specific thing that they did?
Vajpayee, though he is from BJP, the only thing I like about him is, he's a good orator. He had both, it takes guts to, like recognize other parties, in parliament
Yeah.
as well.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Because of his
way,
qualities, you are saying, not for
yeah,
something he did. Okay. Okay.
yeah. So that
Okay.
is because, as a person, that is also very important. How humble you are and how you conduct yourself. That matters a lot.
You come fully loaded and you are just shooting it through. Okay, so who will be the worst prime ministers according to you?
So I have to say it.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. Let's see. We might have a kind of a discussion about the numbers at least. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, the worst for me is Mr. Narendra Modi, our
Okay.
current prime minister,
Okay.
and honestly, I couldn't see anyone coming next to him, in the second and third position. So I would rate, his first, 5 years as the, number one, and the second
Okay.
5 years, though he hasn't completed, is the next second position. So he is in the top two. In my opinion, if he comes for the next 5 years, then he will be the third one. Yeah.
Okay. So apart from that, any other prime ministers that you don't? So okay, top two. Let's say first 5 years of Modi and second is second 5 years of Modi. Which is the third worst?
Indira Gandhi.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I will say my top three worst and best. So my favorite, I mean, the top, according to me, the top prime ministers, the best prime ministers India ever had is first Jawaharlal Nehru, second V.P. Singh, and third maybe Narasimha Rao. If I have to put someone there, it should be Narasimha Rao. Though there are kind of controversies, very the things that happened during 90s, which is affecting the country till today, happened under his watch. We'll discuss about that later. But if I have to put someone there in the third, it will be Narasimha Rao. But best according to me is Nehru first and V.P. Singh. The worst according to me is obviously Modi. Second Indira Gandhi, and third will be Rajiv Gandhi.
Okay.
I kind of thought you will be saying Indira Gandhi as the worst prime minister. Though we all know about Modi, I thought you will say your list will have Indira Gandhi as the worst and second Modi. Is what I expected.
Yeah, I mean, see, Indira Gandhi is, yeah, I mean, so there is so much hype about Indira Gandhi, especially her being a woman and all that. I think that goes, that applies to Jayalalitha as well,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
bringing back
yeah.
factor and all that.
So I kind of agree with Modi from my perspective, uh, but we'll get into the reasoning of why I think he's worse than Indira Gandhi. Though Indira Gandhi did so many awful things, I think he's worse than her because of certain reasons, according to me. Okay, so just let's dive in. So, how do you want to do, Anbu? So, shall we go about the only prime ministers that we discussed, or the entire list? So, we kind of
Well,
said the same people, right? So, we'll just talk about these personalities alone and close it. Not no need to go through the entire list, right?
yeah, I mean, like considering the time constraint and all that. Yeah, let's
Yeah,
discuss about top three first, and then like we can get to
yeah,
know.
yeah. We'll just spend 5 minutes about the rest of the prime ministers.
Sure, sure.
Okay. So the first I have for the purpose of the PPT Jawaharlal Nehru. He is my top best, and he's your second best. So I'll just give my reasoning for choosing Jawaharlal Nehru as the best prime ministers in India ever had. We'll we'll just divide this discussion into two parts. One, what are the things he achieved? The two is criticisms and things he might have messed up. Okay, so the best things according to me is that the time in which Jawaharlal Nehru became prime minister is a very tricky time. It was a time where the Hindu nationalism was at its peak. The country has seen partition, and there was a need for the leaders to unite the country, not only physical boundaries. Like Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel did a great job of uh, you know integrating the Indian Union, the princely states, which is physically, but uh, emotionally, people should feel that they are Indian despite their religion, because the Hindu Muslim thing was a big deal then, and the first 10 years of India is supposed to define how India will be a country in the future, and I think he sealed that part of it very aptly in those first 10 years, especially from 1940. 50 is the first election, I think 52 is the first general election. So 60, until 60, whatever he did was terrific. To say example, he wanted to implement Hindi as the first language, but when southern states appealed, he heard them out. He saw a reason in that, and he postponed that decision. So he was such a kind of prime minister. And also, as you said, he set up IITs, IIMs, the primary institutes. Though you had sort of critical view about it, it was very essential for India to become a scientific nation. Consider If I consider for a moment, if Nehru did not become a PM and someone from the right wing had become a prime minister, then we would have gone kind of a Germany way, or even Pakistan way. We would have been a Hindu Pakistan, to put it simply. So the work that Nehru did in those 10 years is huge. He also had, industrialized the country in the first 10 years. The Bakranangal Dam, the big dams, big projects. So he laid the foundation firmly, and there are a lot of things. So on top of mind, these are the two things. So do you have anything that Nehru did which you admire, and because of which you chose him in your list? You can give your reasons.
Yeah, sure. I mean, as you rightly pointed out, like what would have happened, if there was some right wing guy who took over the country, when the British left. So, just the thought of it, brings in, like so much fear because uh, we, it could have been much worse, because as a South Indian state, like we are not much aware of this partition, or we are
Yeah,
not
sure.
impacted
I
hugely
mean,
because
as
of,
you
the
rightly pointed
religious
out, like
riots,
what would have
especially in
happened,
Tamil
there
Nadu. We
was
don't really
some
have
right
those,
wing guy who took over the
we
country,
had,
when the British
like
left.
like
So
few incidents, but
just the thought of it,
we,
like
as people, from our culture, we are not like, that we don't discriminate people by religion and all that. I've traveled across North India, I've traveled across, the southern states, and I know how it is. So yes, so that is first thing, like when you took over the country, like uniting the country, both emotionally and physically, that's a huge deal. So kudos to him for that. And another thing is, like you're a country, you just got your freedom, like after the colonial background for like 200 or 300 plus years, and then to form a non-alignment movement, and then to say, to let the, the world powers, at that point of time, to let them know that we are not going to join, both these. So this might, sound contradicting, from what I said, center, right and left. But here, if you think of it in a logical way, like what Nehru did was, very logical, and what Nehru did was very, it's a very gutful decision, from my point of view, because on the other side, you had USA, on this side you had Russia, all of this, and then he said we are not going to join both of you, and we are going to be, like this non-alignment and all that. So that's, very, very huge step. And the Aindandu Thittam, the 5-year plan, that he introduced, I think that is what has, made so much. So he was pretty much like the one who led the foundation, or who formed the framework, so that, the later engineers can, work on it and build their codes and all that. So speaking in an IT way, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I think that's a very valid point. The non-alignment movement is a very big thing. One thing I also admire about Nehru is he's a true leader. He might be a worse politician. Actually, the Chinese external affairs minister during 1960s said famously said, Nehru is a leader with good intentions, but he's a worse politician during Indo-Chinese war. I think it suits him perfectly. He's truly an international leader, and I've also read few books. Few books of his, like Discovery of India. He talks about the world politics in such a clear way. He has a lot of clarity. He's a very knowledgeable man. Um, I think the non-alignment movement is uh, movement is such a great thing that he did. I agree. And as you said, he also he was kind of an architect of modern India, for better or worse. And there is Kashmir issue. I would say that it is kind of positive because he made few efforts. Um, it might we might criticize him as well. We'll get into that a bit later, but. Uh, I think it's one of his intentions about Kashmiri people were good. Unlike the regimes after 1980s, especially, his intentions were good. Okay, let's get into the negatives. You can start with the negatives, Anbu. So, what are the negatives, criticisms that you have, or generally people might have on Nehru?
I mean, see, one thing is, about Nehru. I mean, he is pretty much like that, foreign written Shivaji. So, yeah. So I mean, it happens, right? I mean, when you are, like when you are fed silver spoon and all that, it happens that, you might not know what, the the common public wants, or you might not know, what current scenario, or what, the Kala Nilavaram was what they, right? So that he might have missed. And when you talk about him as a politician, see, he could be a playboy or he could be anything, but that's his personal. So I'm not going to get into that. So as long as, like he did something, worth, I think, it's okay. So in my point of view, I mean, yes, he could have, done much better, but whatever he has done is, like, is more than enough.
Okay, so what do you think about the Kashmir issue? So he went and said in the UN that we will give the plebiscite, that is voting from the people, and later he backed out. One side people say him promising is kind of without thinking he promised, and the other side Kashmiri people, they say the plebiscite that that Indian government promised never happened, and it is something that they bring up every time. So what is your take about the Kashmiri issue? Did he handle it well, or any criticisms there, or it's fine?
See, one thing I'm very sure about is no one could have handled Kashmir issue really well, because
That's true.
say for instance he took a stand for for the Kashmiris, saying that Kashmir can be a different country. It is not part of India or it is not part of Pakistan, as the Kashmiris claim rightfully. It could have been a separate country, but what would be the like state of Kashmir now? I mean, what would be the like situation in Kashmir if it was a separate country? Think about it. It will have three countries: India, Pakistan, and China in its border. So all three countries eyeing on it. So it would have been much more worse in a way. So like if he had done that, the entire Hindu agenda. Think about it, what they would have done, because at that point of time, Kashmiris, they had this Kashmiri pundits and all that. So at that point of time, if he had given up Kashmir like that, the entire Hindu Rashtra would have started, like that propaganda saying, like he has given up on Hindus, because there is already, a propaganda saying Nehru is an atheist or agnostic. So that has already, even during those times, it was a big issue.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if he had given up on Kashmir, then they would have, caused a riot in this entire country, which they have, made so much effort to unite as a nation. So that way, it would have been much more worse. So if he had been truthful to Kashmiri people, I'm sure they would have asked for a separate country. Would that work
Yeah.
out?
Yeah, actually, as you said, it's a very kind of tricky situation. Who is Omar Abdullah's great grandfather? What Abdullah? He's some Abdullah, right? I just forgot his name.
Farooq
Sheikh
Abdullah.
Abd Sheikh Abdullah.
Yeah.
Sheikh Abdullah. He was an he was with Nehru until 1950s, until 60s, and then he had issues, and Nehru had to jail him, and he was in Ooty. He was in house arrest in Ooty. There are a lot of conspiracy theories about that, and yeah. But your point is that he did what he could do, right?
My point is, I mean, doesn't matter what he could have done, doesn't matter what he did. Anything would have been much more, so people would anyway criticize him for whatever he did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So according to me, I also have a problem with people talking about his personal life and things like that. You said he's an atheist, if I'm not wrong. It's true. He's an atheist, and he studied in England. As you said, he was born with a silver spoon. But one point I differ is he was in jail for like 5 to 10 years, if I'm not wrong, and he had the connection with the masses, not in the way Gandhi did, but he had some connection, real connections with the masses. But he was kind of a Westerner, to be truthful. But that doesn't matter. What you do matters, right? And also about the Edwina Mountbatten thing, it doesn't matter at all. It is his personal life. So if you take the current prime minister, they talk about brahmacharya and all that, but instead of it doesn't. It is not relevant. Um, if you are going to be very good guy and you are going to screw the country, how does it matter? So I agree with you on that. And there are a couple of points, negative points about Nehru, the way he handled the Chinese government, the Indo-China war. He was not able to predict. He was, as I said, he was an international leader. He had a good grasp of international politics, yet he was not able to anticipate the Chinese aggression. That is one thing. So after 19, there was a defense minister, V.K. Krishnan or something, and he had full power, which Nehru he was kind of a, how to say, a favorite ministers, and he messed up totally, and that was a controversy. So that's why I said categorically that before 1960s, whatever Nehru did is the reason why India is a democratic country today. Other than that, after 1960s, there might be some hiccups. So the Batman quote, right? You die a hero or you live long
Yeah,
long
live
enough
long
to
enough
become
to
a
see
villain.
yourself.
So that actually perfectly fits Nehru in my point of view. But still, no other guy could have done what he did in the 1950s. And also one important thing is uh, uh, he did not see eye to eye with Ambedkar and even Vallabhai Patel. Right? They everyone had difference of opinions, but then Nehru requested Ambedkar to join his cabinet until he wrote the constitution. So it shows how much he was willing to sacrifice his personal opinions and differences to work with people. And great credit to Ambedkar and Vallabhai Patel as well, because they also worked with him, right? So the country was in such state that even Vallabhai Patel had a soft corner for the RSS, the Sangh during that time. But even then, he was truly a great leader, and his intentions was to make India a better country. So I think leaders of that time were truly great.
Yeah.
Okay, anything more you want to add about Nehru or anything? Yeah, please
Yeah,
go ahead.
one last point about the Chinese intervention, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so do you think we can handle China at this moment? In 2021, Feb 14.
20 no do you I mean, are you asking about with the military might?
Everything, like with the
I know,
trade fight, everything, anything.
no, trade wise it's a no brainer. I think they are giving huge challenges to US itself, and right now we are seeing a growth of -5 and 3 GDP for the past 3 years, and we are nowhere near. Maybe if we had the same momentum which we had in 2010s during Vajpayee and Manmohan Singh's time, we had a good GDP momentum. If we had that, maybe we could at least try to compete with them. But right now, I'm no expert in economy, but I think that's what I can say.
1 second. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that I understood. See, what I'm asking is like even financially or economically or even in defense wise,
Defense wise, it might be tricky. Defense wise, India alone might not be able to handle China right now.
yeah. So even now, like the Chinese troops, they came in, they set up a village and all that. So I mean, hardly there is anything that India could did at that point of time. So now we are talking about 2021. Like சுதந்திரம் அடைஞ்சு எத்தனை வருஷம், ஒரு 70 வருஷத்துக்கு மேல ஆச்சு. Even now we are not able to stop Chinese troops if they invade India.
No, actually, you are asking about full-blown war, right? India might not have a chance with the full-blown war, but the setting up of village in Arunachal Pradesh and in Ladakh, right? Those are like kind of, those are smaller conflicts. If
No, see, conflict is different. So this is pretty much like என்னால பண்ண முடியும், உன்னால என்ன பண்ண முடியும்?
Yeah, but India right now India could have at least made some political statements. Right now the thing about China is that everyone is against China. US, Japan, I'm not sure about Russia. So if India played its cards right, we can get US support, and we can take on China. But even that our Prime Minister is not doing, which is kind of not good, pathetic.
Yeah, that's a different story and different argument. Like what I'm trying to get this is like think about like the 1960s or the Indochina war time. So we did not have an like a raw kind of a thing, which is our intelligence agency. We did not have a full-fledged intelligence agency like we do now. At that point of time, our military was also not that that's strong. So
Yeah.
there is no way we could have like foreseen that war or anything. So I think at that point of time, yeah, I mean, like he did, I mean, mess up. So but whatever happened, right, I mean, like even today, we are not like opponents, or we are not equals to China.
Yeah,
China is competing with us at that level. So we are still we still need the world majors to support us to fight China. So we are at
Okay.
that stage until now.
Yeah, yeah. One moment, one moment, Anbu. One moment. I'll be back. Okay.
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah.
So I brought a couple. I adopted a couple of kittens. Right, they were in my room and they started screaming. So I just left it.
Yeah,
With
it's fine.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's correct. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I read few things about this particular topic, which is he was kind of promoting China in the 1960s when they became communist. 1956, they had some revolution, right? The communist revolution, right? So during that time, he was supporting China. He said China and India are two of world's oldest cultures, and we need to work together. So he was giving positive signals, and he was trying to get China to our side. He did a lot of things for that, but eventually they kind of betrayed the Chinese people, the government. I mean, not people. The Chinese government betrayed Nehru, and that's the criticism. But yeah, that's kind of thing. If some people are going to criticize him for that, that is fine. But to uh, uh, to quote the Edwina Mountbatten thing and other things, he used to drink, right? He had Englishman's life. So to talk about those things, those and all are kind of not acceptable at all. That's my point.
Yeah.
Okay. So if there are no more things, can we move on to the next?
Sure.
Okay. So the next V.P. Singh we will discuss about. I don't have a specific picture of V.P. Singh here, but we will just discuss. Yeah. So V.P. Singh, you kind of gave an introduction. I mean, you reason about why you liked them. So, would you like to elaborate any more points to add?
I mean, so one thing I would like to point out is I'm not sure why he was thrown out, within 11 months. Maybe because he did that, and no other parties wanted it.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I want to touch upon that. So I just did a kind of reading for this specific, specific live stream. As you said, even I had him in my list because he was able to. The Mandal Commission, as you said, was the report was submitted in 1980s. So Indira Gandhi and then Rajiv Gandhi, and there were many people. None of them took it upon themselves to implement it, but V.P. Singh did. Another interesting information is V.P. Singh was defense minister during Rajiv Gandhi's era in 1985s, and he was the guy who kind of brought out the Bofus scandal. It seems so when Bofus scandal blew out, Rajiv Gandhi government toppled. An interesting thing is in 1987, no, it's 1987 or something. Yeah, Rajiv Gandhi had 200 or some kind of a close to majority he had, but he did not want to form a government with alliance. So he let the other guys form the government. That's how V.P. Singh came into the picture. He came into power with the help of BJP support,
Yeah.
and during that time Advani took the famous Rath Yatra, right? And
And he was arrested.
yeah, so V.P. Singh's government arrested him, and due to that, BJP pulled its support, and then there was a no confidence motion. And I read the specific article which said V.P. Singh asked both Congress and BJP, do you know where you are taking India, and is this the thing you want for India regarding the Ram Temple and this thing? So clearly, Congress also had a kind of few mess ups. So he was pointing that. I think it takes some kind of a courage, and he might not be a good politician because you do whatever you could to stay in power, but he just did not care for anything at all. He actually he retired from active politics after that. After he was removed from the prime ministership. So somebody who is listening to his conscience, being a politician is good. And apart from that, as you said, Mandal Commission is a huge thing. A lot of people have negative or kind of shallow outlook on reservation, but it is very important. Maybe we will do a stream. We will have another friend we spoke about, right? We'll have him as well and talk about reservation, the importance of reservation. And there is a misconception that India is the only country that is having reservation, which is totally wrong. We'll just discuss later. So I like V.P. Singh as well for these two reasons, and I don't have any criticism on him. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, like to add few more points. So he is the one who who called back the Indian army from Sri Lanka. So
Okay.
during Rajiv Gandhi period, they sent this Amedi Padai, and they did all
IPKF,
stuff.
yeah, Indian Peacekeeping
Yeah,
Force. Yeah.
yeah, and all that. So he was the one to call back that, and then so I think like during this period, right? I mean, all of these were planned. And there was also Home Minister's daughter was also kidnapped during that point of time. So I think
Yeah.
all this was part of some agenda or something. They did not want him to proceed with the Mandal Commission report, or did not want him to implement that, something like that. So basically, these both Congress and BJP both are culprits in that. Right
Yeah.
from that point of time, they were like planning or planting something against him, plotting against him, something like that, and
Yeah.
so that shows his merit. Like when both the parties don't want someone you know uh, to be in power and to do good things, it also shows how crude and how cruel the other two parties are. Unfortunately, we are left with those parties.
Anbu, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I cannot hear you. One moment. One moment. Hello?
எனக்கு கேக்குது விஷ்ணு, உனக்கு கேக்குதா?
இப்போ கேக்குது. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Cool.
headset, something happened with the headset. Yeah, yeah, we can continue. Yeah.
So எங்க இருந்து உனக்கு கேட்கல?
VP Singh, you wanted to add few more points, right? Yeah. நீ அதான் ஆரம்பிச்ச
So
அதுக்கப்புறம் கேட்க.
So I touched upon the home minister's kidnap and
Yeah. That part. After that part, I didn't hear. Yeah.
After that part, I said how cruel and how like BJP and Congress plotted against him. So how bad they are for to do something like that.
Yeah.
Like anyone with good intentions to be in office, and they don't want social justice. Both these parties are against social justice, in my opinion. So that is quite obvious, when they, plotted against VP Singh.
Yeah. I totally agree. And no criticisms on VP Singh, right? I mean, the guy was there for only 1 year. What can we?
Not even only 11 months.
11 months, yeah. Okay. And that. Sorry?
Who's next on the list?
Yeah. So my list, I had Narasimha Rao maybe, and you have whom you had on your list? The third best?
I don't think I had any.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for Narasimha Rao, I'll just say a few things. The thing is, India was in this kind of economic bankruptcy, right, during 90s. So he was able to stabilize the economy. And as you said, he was also a good leader. I heard a quotation from even Vajpayee said the same. If there were few things, for example, in 96, when Congress government was going out of office, they were handing it over to Vajpayee, if I'm not wrong. So he went with Abdul Kalam and directly met Vajpayee and said, whatever the differences between Congress and BJP, this needs to go on. So despite the differences, he was working with them, and even for some issues regarding Pakistan, uh, he sent Narasimha Rao sent Vajpayee to the UN to talk on behalf of India. So he just wanted the opposition also to be involved in active politics. Unlike present times, if you compare it with present times, it's totally mind blowing.
It's
And
me
there are
at the current moment.
the current moment, exactly, yeah. So there were few criticism as well, because the Ram Mandir demolition happened under his watch, and I think Mulayam Singh was the chief minister. The government kind of took a sidestep and let the thing happen, because the RAR, I mean, the intelligence agencies has warned that this was going to happen. These guys, right, the Sangh Parivar and the right wing guys, they did kind of what to say, rehearsals and all that to demolish the Babri Masjid. Uh, these guys could have stopped, but they also wanted to reap the votes out of this politics, religious politics, and they sidestepped. So I think that's a big criticism on Narasimha Rao from my point of view. So what about you?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, so he handled the economic crisis well,
Hmm.
and thanks minister during that time. So I think they handled it well altogether. And another thing is he was the one who brought these atomic like nuclear plants and all that, right? So the atomic bombs and all that. So the nuclear programs, as they call it. So he was the one who laid the foundation for it, for all those.
Yeah,
So we are not nuclear power now, but at least we are in a respectable position in
yeah, yeah.
compared to that.
Actually, the program was initially started by Nehru. It seems after the Chinese war, Indira Gandhi started the Pokhran project, but the subsequent prime ministers, including Narasimha Rao, took it. I mean, extended that policy of India becoming a nuclear state.
Yeah, he did not launch anything, but he boosted the program
Yeah, he
because
was.
it was
Yeah, yeah.
it was
So if
kind
the
of not passed on some
exactly.
years, and then yeah.
Yeah. So if some government comes in power, they can change the policy and say and throw it in the dustbin. Which these governments, even even the Vajpayee government did not do that, right? So I think that's commendable. Okay, I
One
think
more
if
thing,
yeah, go ahead.
another interesting thing happened during his regime is if you remember, when we were kids, there was about this hijack and all that. Some hijack happened,
Yeah,
and
Kandahar hijack, the Afghanistan.
he handled it well. And what he did is, at least in front of the media, he did not concede with he did not concede, or he did not agree with the terrorist demands.
Yeah, yeah. But
But
later,
somehow
later they released, right, that Omar Sheikh or something. Omar is his name. But that guy eventually did the 2001 Twin Towers attack, if I'm not wrong. The guy we released him actually. Was it this one or? So this is the thing you are talking about from Nepal. They hijacked the Indian flight, and there was this guy, the honeymoon couple. The husband was killed. Correct? That one, right?
I'm not sure about the honeymoon couple and all, but it was during the 90s, like when we
Yeah,
were
yeah,
kids,
yeah.
I
I
used to.
mean, yeah, in the 2000s, so they were the terrorists hijacked the plane and they landed the plane in Kandahar, Afghanistan, and and they blackmailed to release this terrorist. I think eventually he was released. I'm not sure about in this particular episode or during some other thing, but they released him, and this guy eventually went on to do the Twin Towers attack. So recently there is a movie Omerta. You heard, if I'm not sure you have heard, Rajkumar Rao, right?
Mhm.
Rajkumar Rao and Hansal Mehta, they done this movie Omerta. So it is the story of this guy I'm talking about, the terrorist. So Rajkumar Rao has acted as a terrorist who is based on London, something like that. Yeah. Okay, so I think we are done with the best guys. One moment. Your screen seems to be frozen. Am I visible to you?
I actually, you are visible to me, and I can see you, moving, and you are fine. See, I can also see that, when you share screen, right? My screen just froze like that, but I'm not sure. Like, let me check the live window as well.
No, no. I mean, in my software itself, you are frozen. One moment. Let me reconnect. It might be because of my internet, because my internet is acting up sometimes. Or else I'll just send them a new meeting invite. We'll just have three more guys to talk about. So we'll just wrap it up. One moment. Let me connect from my mobile. Hello. Can you hear me, Anbu?
Yeah,
I
I
think
can
your
see that my screen is closed.
yeah still your screen is still frozen. One moment.
Vishnu, like we can wrap it up in 10 minutes, right? So why do we need to connect again? Like let it be there. Like audio is fine.
Okay. Actually, this thing has a limit of like 1 hour. Google Meet is 1 hour. Maybe because of that, it could be like that. So that's why I'm thinking.
Okay.
We have a chat here as well, right? In the chat, I'm putting the new meeting window. You can join through that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you can hear me, right, Anbu? Hello.
Yes, Vishnu, I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I can.
Now it is good. Now it is good.
Yeah, cool. Sure. I mean, like let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about the worst
Yeah.
PMs.
Yeah. So yeah. So your first worst is Narendra Modi, which will be kind
Yeah.
of okay. Maybe you can start with that. You can start why he is the worst, and then when you are done, maybe we can talk about any good things he has done also. Yeah, you can start.
Sure. Uh, like, see, it's very simple. Like privatizing everything. Like whatever I spoke about. V.P. Singh, right? So, like bringing social economic reforms, social political reforms through reservations and all that. So, what he is doing at the moment is he is trying to make everything private. So when you go private, there is no need for you to have any kind of reservation there. So there is the whole agenda behind that. And one more thing is like selling everything to one or two companies or one or two families. I don't think how it will be beneficial to the country. And like yeah, I mean, to talk about them, it's a waste of time. So, but yeah, just for the argument's sake,
No, no, you can touch upon what are the worst things that he has done. Why you think he is the worst?
See, I'll start with the current things. Like think about this. Invasion could be a big word, but whatever China is doing is definitely pretty much like an invasion. Like they are entering our territory, they are hitting our soldiers, and like all they are doing is they are trying to intimidate us. And one thing is you can at least make a political statement saying you cannot do this. He called the previous prime minister Mauna Guru, and he called the previous prime minister, being a coward and all that. So from my point of view, like he's the one who is not at all courageous at all. He's the one who hasn't given or hold any press conference. He's the one who does not talk about China. And he recently in the parliament he said that people start with this, like with all his foreign trips, the first 3 or 4 years of his time, right? So I still remember the conversation, from my colleagues in my previous. They used to say, I mean, like look at it, like he's doing all these foreign trips and bringing foreign investment, increasing foreign relationship and all that. Now, after this farmer protest and all, one thing is very obvious: they hasn't handled anything very well. Like everybody is, like making statement against the country during supporting the farmer protest. guy, all his foreign trips are just like a tourist kind of. He tour those countries, on taxpayers' money. He spent like, and he hasn't really anything because our relationship with Bangladesh sucks. Our relationship with Nepal sucks. Like the Nepalese king recently he said that Ram is like Ram is a Nepali, Sita
Yeah,
is also a Nepali, and these guys they didn't even have any back for that. Yeah. So basically, he's like he sucked up, he fucked up all the neighbor relationships. Sri Lanka is China. Now Sri Lanka is pretty much like a colony of China, and then these guys, like the previous Congress regime, they supported Sri Lanka, and they armed Sri Lanka to kill LTTE, and now all that has been sold to China. Nepal is not in good terms. Bangladesh is not in good terms. Pakistan, anyway, with Pakistan. So think
yeah,
about it. We are like there is nothing happening in that front. Like foreign
yeah.
relations, nothing happening.
Yeah, so I'll just sum it up. Yeah, actually, I agree mostly with whatever you said. So, the important thing that is worst about Narendra Modi to sum it up in single sentence is that he has not declared emergency, but the state runs in a kind of PR in emergency. Because if you see, a lot of journalists and activists are in jail for no apparent reason. There are people who
Stand-up
has
comedians are also in jail these days.
yeah, stand-up comedians and stand-up comedians are in jail for jokes that they have not said. That's the highlight. And even yesterday there was a news about Wasim Jafar, the Mumbai cricketer, right? So he was coaching Uttarakhand team, and he left the Uttarakhand team for some kind of rift with the state cricket board. And these guys started a propaganda that he brought a Maulvi from some mosque, and he was doing all that simply because he belongs to a certain community was used against him. So that's the temperature in the ground right now, and it is because of this Hindu nationalism that these guys are promoting. I think the one great success of Modi is that he has even made very educated people, believe in propaganda and actively spreading propaganda. I think that's a achievement, which is not in a good way, but I think it is still an achievement. I'd say. And apart from that, I'm not able to even say a single good thing that he has done. Demonetization was a great mistake. So they have this huge, this usual line of plan is good but execution is wrong. They have this line. Even GST, something like
Okay,
GST.
okay. I'm gonna stop you there. So, do you think you said plan is good, but the execution is wrong? So, do you think the plan is actually good?
No, this is the defense that the supporters of Modi come up with. I'm talking about that. I
So,
don't think. Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's a kind of a stunt, like political stunt, what we call a populist measure to please people. That's what that is. This kind of politics is all about that. There is no real agenda, no kind of principle or anything. Uh, in order to come to power, they will just say 10% reservation to economically backward, do a airstrike on Pakistan for this attack, and things like that. And these guys call the journalists as prostitutes. But look at Arnab Goswami, what we can call Arnab Goswami. So these
No,
guys are
he is. No, no, no. So those prostitutes are anti-Indians. Arnab Goswami is a patriotic Indian.
patriotic
So you are
Indian.
mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, so even during emergency, so I would have put Indira Gandhi as the worst prime minister, but why I did not is uh, I read about why India went into emergency, because the Allahabad government, the High Court, I'm sorry, the Supreme Court during that time invalidated Indira Gandhi's election win because she used fraudulent methods. Right now, do you think any Supreme Court judge would have the guts to say anything against the current government? Even
Yeah.
the Ram
The
Mandir.
moment the moment any like forget about the judge. The moment any government authority, the moment any government official speaks about it, right? A rape case will be on him, or a murder case will be on him. Something will be on him. So it is
Yeah,
like target, hit and target. Like If you talk against him, he's going to target you. That's it.
Or they will send income tax, ED, all those things, anything of that sort. Yeah, that is true. So yeah, pretty much to sum up, these are the things. GST might be a good thing in the long run, but right now, the central government vows like 6,000, 7,000 crores to each individual state as GST compensation. And also, these guys are kind of autocratic. Even if you take formula, there are state list and this two list, right? Some things are concurrent list and state list. So concurrent list is something like defense, foreign ministry. These are under central government. State list is kind of agriculture, police. These are under state, right? So farming is under state as per the definition. But right now these guys are doing formulas, which is basically wrong. And also, since they have got majority, all the things like CAA, this formula and everything, the abrogation of 370, they do it in 2 or 3 hours in the parliament, which is wrong. If you are going to bring something like formula or CAA, you need to have discussion with the opposition. There should be a discussion, pros and cons, give and take. That is all about democracy, right? So they are actually even things like they went into the JNU University, they are arresting Kanhaiya Kumar and Umar Khalid, these things, right? Only reason is because there is no opposition in the form of Congress. When students try to criticize the government, they are shutting them down because they know Congress is good for nothing, and the students also, if they don't talk, there will be no bad image about them. So that's about it. I also have the similar.
Yeah. See, more than that, right? I mean, I have few more points to add. One thing is, I see these, Sangh Parivar gangs and Sanghis, talking about, how Modi ji is, is a Punida Atma, and rest of the guys are fucked up. My simple question is, they did the same for Jayalalitha as well. So these same gang, they did for Jayalalitha as well. So both are equally culprits. So the reason is, see, recently, in the past, 6 or 7 years, right? They tried to, paint the entire nation, Kavi. If I'm not wrong, all state elections were rigged. All state elections, if they were able to win it, by all means. If they couldn't win, they bought MLAs. So my pretty simple question is, where do they get all the money, to buy MLAs in each and every state? That is first question. Second question, what happened to the Rafale documents? Like the Rafale, it was hyped up. Everybody was talking about it. Why buy, previous generation, aircraft and all that? What happened to Rafale documents? And again, so much money was spent on promotions of Modi and his schemes. So almost, 10,000 crores, spent. And especially, during the elections, they have spent a lot of money. And if I'm not wrong, only the Ambanis and Adanis have donated almost 10,000 crores. So my question is, why would a corporate, donate you so much money to contest in an election? And what, payback? Obviously there will be a payback because this is business, right?
Yeah, actually, as you said, Adani is the biggest sponsor of the government. I mean, funding, electoral funder for BJP. That's why all these. Even in Australia, India-Australia match second test, someone from the Australian crowd showed a placard, if you remember. State Bank was going to give 1.5 lakh crore rupees to Adani. Australia, so that money was used to do some mining thing in Australia, if I'm not wrong. So an activist in Australia ran into the pitch, India versus Australia pitch, and he showed the placard. Don't give loan to Adani. State Bank of India, don't give this much of money to Adani as loan. So the foreign guys, the Australians are very much aware about the situation than us, actually. So these kind of things happen. And one more thing is, there is this electoral bond. If right, the electoral bond is nothing but any anonymous source can give a party money, and that is not going to be audited. So this was brought in by BJP. This is one of the worst kind of corruption, you could say, because this is legalizing corruption.
Yeah.
So it was said during 2019, 96% of those electoral bonds were for BJP. So only 4% went to the other parties, including Congress. So they have a lot of money, and it's as you said, Adani, Ambani are also big
I mean,
supporters.
whose money it is. And see, if I'm doing you a favor, it means, so like, I'm a businessman and I'm doing you a favor. It means I'm obviously going to expect some payback or something in return, right? ROI is important in business.
Yeah, true.
So I mean, like, on what basis, like, on what, like, basis I'm returning it back to them. So that is a very major question, and very, very importantly, during this demonetization, right? So it is a very childish thought that, like, once you demonetize the currency, it will end corruption and all that. That is such a stupid thought, like, in my hometown they used to call it like tikadai bench politics, like. So that is
Yeah.
how, like, pathetic this is. So we, like, as a tikadai bench politician, right? I was a tikadai bench politician. I would speak, fucked up things about all the politicians and all the things they could have done, they did, and whatnot. But when you are in power, you cannot be a tikadai bench politician. Though you are from the tikadai background, as you claim that he claimed that he is from tikadai background. I don't think he is.
Yeah. There are a lot
And
of
of course,
image building things like that
yeah.
behind those things.
So like, when demonetization was introduced, right? I mean, he said he's going to bring back all the money from foreign countries, and he said he's going to, like, forget about, he depositing, some amount in our account and all that. So what happened? Like, how much money, like, black money was found, and how much black money was, like, no, there is no data on that. And then, uh, you know, uh,
No, actually, there was a data. I think the
there was no black money. That was the data.
yeah. That was the data. So whatever the white money they calculated, everything came back. If some 10% of did not come, it would have been black money. But everything came, as you said. Surplus itself came back.
So, then, what is the point? So is like, is your, team did some miscalculation, or is there is, or there was, like, are you going to say that India is a, corruption free country?
No,
I don't know.
actually, Raghuram Rajan also said, right? Raghuram Rajan famously said that without he was even not consulted for demonetization. Modi himself just announced it. So it is customary for the Prime Minister to consult the RBI, because when you return the money, exchange the money in the bank, RBI is responsible, right? So he was not even consulted, and these guys started abusing Raghuram Rajan on one side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this lot of worse things. They no democratic process. So people used to call Manmohan Singh mute, puppet, and all that. But that guy gave press conferences for all his term, and when he lost the election, he in Chennai, it thinks there was a mega press conference where he patiently answered. But Prime Minister current Prime Minister Modi has not given a single press conference in after he came back to power, which is this is not. Democracy. There is something called democracy, right? These guys have no respect for democracy. I
Yeah.
agree with you there. Yeah.
So, and one more thing is, see, everything is becoming, privatized. Like, everything, like, name it BSNL, Navy Lignite Corporation, anything, everything is going to private. And my question is, how can you, like, make a military, how can you make your defense privatized? I'm not sure how that is going to work, because defense
Yeah.
is something that protect your
Yeah,
country.
actually, the right wing, they have this Swadeshi kind of thing, right? Even Vajpayee and guys were like that. These guys are not even, they are not even honest to their own kind of principles. Right now, they'll just kindle this Hindu Muslim thing, get votes, stay in power, and they'll do whatever they want to do to be in power, right? Now, Ram Mandir is a good example. They got it done, and exactly by 2024 they will open the Ram Mandir, and on that they will try to get the votes. That's what will happen. So okay, we'll just have a final thought. Do you think Modi will come back to power in 2024?
I'm not sure, because, last time I was able to very confidently say that he would come back to power last time, because I
Oh,
was very sure about our North Indian fellows. Yeah. So,
okay.
I mean, there were people still arguing and, like, fighting very much for Modi. Now, with the petrol price hike and everything going haywire in this country, I'm not sure. Not sure. But if he comes back again, right? If he comes back, or if BJP comes back to power the next time, the third time, I think India will be like shut down or something.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, but I was different. So I thought BJP won't come to power in 2019, at least not with a majority. That happened, and I'm not so sure about 24 either. There might be a little bit of fight. The biggest challenge is that the opposition is not getting united. Even in the 2019, if Mamta, Mayawati, and everyone, came together, even Arvind Kejriwal did not, consolidate. So all the opposition need to consolidate together, including Congress. Otherwise, there is no chance, because these guys. Amit Shah is very good in this politics, right? He's very good in these strategies. So let's see about 2024.
See, when you are in power, when you are like a dictator, right? You can implement things. It is not that they are very talented people. It is just that they are, they are in a position like full
No,
majority, and they are
I'm
in a
talking
position to make.
I'm talking about the strategies as in the airstrike on Pakistan, right? Airstrike in Pakistan and the 10% reservation single-handedly won the 2019 elections. And Pawan Kalyan, right, the Andhra Pradesh actor,
Mm-hmm.
actually he
Yeah,
started a party, and in 2017 or something he said,
Jansena.
yeah. So he dissolved the party or not, I'm not sure, but he said this thing. He said that before 2019 election there will be a war with Pakistan, because there were talks earlier itself. That was a strategy. So he said something like that. And even the airstrike, people were saying they just bombed an empty place where there were trees. So it's kind of, but actually this guy,
Actually,
yeah,
that one, right, that was pretty much very well planned, and like not just Pawan Kalyan, many people guessed it, like at least 6 months before, or that 6 months before that attack, people to guess it, and people, like I still remember a guy wrote it on Facebook or Twitter about this. He said in the next 6 months these things will come, and
okay,
he had written this attack as well.
yeah. The attack. I mean, the Pawan Kalyan was with the BJP alliance actually. When he came out of the alliance in 2017, he said this thing. So that's what I'm trying to bring it up. Okay. So any positives from Modi according to you? Nothing at all.
Nope.
Nice. Okay. So who are the other worst prime minister you had? No one, right?
I mean, I said Indira Gandhi, the third one.
Third one is Indira Gandhi. Okay. Let's discuss about Indira Gandhi and wrap it up. So, why don't you like Indira Gandhi? What is the reason that you are?
I was hoping that you would start this, because you are the one who had Indira Gandhi on the top. So.
Yeah. No, second I think. Second I had. Yeah, because Indira Gandhi, the emergency was the worst thing that she did, because India was going in a certain direction, and when things were not going in her way, she declared emergency. And apart from that, one biggest thing Indira Gandhi did was this dynasty politics she started, right? So which is the worst thing. Actually, I read about it. Her first son Sanjay Gandhi, second son Sanjay Gandhi. Sanjay Gandhi is the second
First son
son.
Sanjay Gandhi, elder one, yeah.
No. Rajiv Gandhi is the first son. Second one is Sanjay Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi had, yeah, I just read it, I mean, for this live stream itself, I read. Maybe, yeah, you can check meanwhile. So, Rajiv Gandhi had no interest in politics, but Sanjay Gandhi was kind of, the government was in his hands, it seems, during emergency. So there was a famous saying that Prime Minister's office, right? It was like Prime Minister's house during that time, because everything used to run from Indira Gandhi's house, that too by Sanjay Gandhi. And this guy was kind of a maniac, it seems. This population control, you know, right? So it was a thing during emergency, and he just captured poor people and did kind of forced family planning on them. It's like how these people, I mean, the corporation captures dogs and do family planning like that. So he had no kind of compassion, and he seems to be a kind of a crazy fellow. He died during some air. He was flying an one-man aircraft, and they crashed and died. But he was kind of a worst guy, as far as I heard. So she encouraged him. So he was supposed to. He was kind of a prince during emergency, which is not wrong. And Indira Gandhi is not so democratic. Also, even in 1950s when she came to Congress, she used her influence to dissolve Communist Party in Kerala in '59 or something, which Nehru was completely opposed to. So she did the emergency. We don't need to talk about, which is the worst thing that could happen. So obviously she is on the top list. So do you have any other reasons apart from this?
Yeah, I mean, like you touched upon many items. One, yes, I mean Sanjay Gandhi was cut loose during that time, and he behaved like like a very pudicha naai mari தான் இருந்தாப்ல. He yeah, he did. I mean, he was like
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much
yeah.
like you know like பார்க்கறதெல்லாம் தூக்குறது, அடிக்கிறது, உடைக்கிறது, pretty much like a rowdy during that
Yeah.
time. He did not. There are some conspiracies that saying that Indira Gandhi was the one who plotted.
Oh, what is that? Indira Gandhi?
Indira Gandhi was the one who planned or plotted Sanjay's death
No,
because
no,
Sanjay
no.
was
No, it might not be true.
there was a conspiracy because some people claim that Sanjay was going like beyond the limits and somebody has to stop him or else the image would be tarnished and things like that.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
he had to take the decision or something like that, and so that happened. And like there are certain things that Indira Gandhi did, which kind of like what do you say, like did good. One is the Indo-Pakistan war during that time. She was able to manage that, and she was the one who started this war and
Yeah,
all
so you
that.
are talking about her positives, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah,
one good thing about that is like like what they call the East Bengal,
yeah.
uh, the
Bangladesh.
East Pakistan.
Yeah,
So it
East Pakistan.
was, it is Bangladesh now, like so she was able to do that. Think about it, like what if we had like we have one Pakistan and we have so much issues, and what if we had two Pakistans? Things would have been much more worse. And she was able to like plot. It is a huge deal if you think of it. Like to send your agents to another country and that to your enemy country, and then do like rig their elections. Bringing riots and stuff. In a way it is bad, but statistically or like if you think of it in a like a defense way, yeah, that is a good move.
Yeah,
And
yeah, actually, as far as the positives, there were a lot of things actually, I think. After 1967, she wanted India to be self-reliant country. So all these
yeah,
public sector companies, right? She was the one who started it. A lot of those things. The Green Revolution, is happened because of her. Because uh, Arun, while we were discussing last time, Arun brought this point up. Green Revolution is very important because before that there were a lot of famines, right? A lot of
yeah,
people used to die, but she brought Green Revolution, this White Revolution, all those things. She paved the way, and she aggressively followed the nuclear policy. The Pokhran was kind of uh, her pet project during that time. And as you said, the Pakistan war was she was very strong. I specifically not put her as the worst prime minister because at least she did few good things. So
yeah.
she nationalized the banks also. I think there was a statistics which said after she nationalized the bank, 850% of savings account increased because poor people are able to do banking. Before that, the private players kind of did. So these
It
are
was
good.
not private place. It is pretty much like like if you consider State Bank of India, right? It was pretty much like four banks. Like not four banks. It was like four. Like each and every area will have its own bank. Like Bank of Madras, and
Yeah,
then there will be Bank of Travancore, and then there is like Bank of Mumbai, things like that. So she nationalized banks, and see by nationalizing banks, she also made sure that a lot of people are employed because once you
employed.
have banks, then there is more employment as well. Then there are more industries and there are more loans and things like that. So whatever like that happened during that time, right? Nationalized banks and all that. So this time, this period, like everything is, like whatever they did, the good thing they did, now it is kind of, like going haywire.
Yeah,
I mean, now
yeah.
Modi got.
Actually, she is also responsible for killing that. I mean, that putting out that Khalistani movement, things like that. but the controversy was she went into the temple and did that, and eventually she got killed. But she was able to handle these things. We can say it is positive because Khalistani movement was posing a threat to Indian Union, right? As India as a nation, they were trying to get separated. You can say it as a positive, and
I mean,
India
it
got.
depends on which side you are. I mean, like if you are on, if you, I mean, like think about it. Even now, the farm bill protest, like most farmers are from Punjab and Haryana.
No, I think that is different. So even if the
No, all I'm
Khalistani.
trying to say is, like they have made sure that they are not asking for Khalistan now. At this moment, they made sure they're not asking for
Yeah, yeah,
Khalistan. I mean, they're
exactly,
saying
exactly.
farm bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there was they were doing this armed thing as well. The Khalistani movement in 1980s, they were armed people. They were using violent measures, so which is not acceptable. Even today, if Kashmiri people are doing armed struggle, people won't be supporting. Even people like me and you might not support. There are terrorists who are sent from Pakistan and things like that, but as such, people are not terrorists, right? There are common people there who want to live a normal life. They are getting affected, which is why many people are, giving their support or solidarity to the Kashmiri people. So that's the point. Yeah, I think that's pretty much about Indira Gandhi. And the last one I had was Rajiv Gandhi, and this I will just wrap very slowly. Even the Rajiv Gandhi, there are. He furthered the Indira Gandhi's bad images, kind of all these things. Uh, for votes, he did this appeasement, right? The minority appeasement came into picture because of him. There is this famous Shah Bano case. You know about that?
No.
Yeah, this is like there is a old woman. She wanted alimony or property alimony. I think she wanted alimony after her divorce. Okay, which is a woman's right, every woman's right, right? But the Muslim clerics they said that there is no place for that in their law. So in India that there is no uniform civil code. Hindus are they for civil matters they need to follow the law, and Muslims can have their own religion's law, the Sharia law they say, right? For marriage and all that, for dividing the property, all those things, Muslims can have their own law.
See, for Hindus it is Hindu Marriage Act, and for Muslims, there is the Sharia Act, and so they have it separately. But this is what the union government is currently trying to implement, right? The uniforms.
Yeah, these guys are doing it out of the kind of check. I mean, there is some kind of Islamophobia in what the current government is trying to do. But the Shah Bano case, in that specific case, Supreme Court said that Shah Bano should be given alimony, but Rajiv Gandhi with his he kind of did he had a law passed and struck that Supreme Court thing out. So from a woman's rights perspective, which is wrong. I mean, it's wrong. So people had a lot of criticism on that. So he did that. He sent the IPKF to Sri Lanka is another worst thing he did. He suddenly wanted to become he wanted India to become the big boss of South Asia. Like how America meddles with other countries' politics, he wanted to do with Sri Lanka, which backfired badly. And also Ayodhya issue, this guy, Ayodhya, there is this from 1947, some guy from Hindu that Hindu nationalist group, he went and placed idol in Babri Masjid. Okay, the British did not take it out. So from 47 to 85, how it is both Hindus and Muslims will go and worship, and this thing will be closed. The Ram statue that was placed in 1985, Rajiv Gandhi opened it up, and that started another round of controversy, which the right-wing group Advani and all they exploited. So he's kind of a reason for rekindling that to gain political mileage and votes. So that's the worst thing. Good things. Bofors scandal also happened during Rajiv Gandhi's period. A lot of bad reputation for Congress is because of Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, and most of them are valid also to be neutral. So
Yeah.
that's the thing about Rajiv. I don't think any good better things Rajiv Gandhi did. He was there for 4 years or something. I don't think any positives are there.
Yeah, nothing much.
Okay. Okay, I think we discussed everyone. So apart from that, there are few other prime ministers like Morarji Desai, uh, Vajpayee,
Devagowda,
Deve
the
Gowda,
famous, very famous Devagowda who's lived in the
Deve
parliament.
Gowda. Yeah. So any thoughts on these fellows? Are they even? I mean, do we need to spend time discussing them, or we'll just go to the conclusion? What do you think?
I mean, considering the time constraint, yeah, I mean, we can conclude. If you have any
Okay.
points, just add on, like just quickly touch
I
upon.
don't think. I don't think. Only thing I want to add is that Congress hugely benefited with their strong personalities and majority thing. So all these things happened, right? The emergency, post-emergency, Rajiv Gandhi, everything happened during majority rule. So people while voting, they need to vote for good party so that there is a alliance and the governments are kept in check. Right now, the government has 310 seats. That's why they are doing whatever they want. So if you look at the prime ministers and the each period, there are certain things that emerge out. So one of the lessons is don't give a party majority and don't go into personality politics. Like Jawaharlal Nehru handled it well, but not everybody is Jawaharlal Nehru, right? Indira Gandhi handled it very badly. Currently, Modi is doing the same thing. So that's about it. And finally, after discussing, do you have any changes in your list? After we
I
discuss
mean, no, nothing.
one and two are best things like that. So so VP Singh might be this might be in the top three, but is he still in the same number or in the
Yeah,
worst?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I also think I don't have any change. Jawaharlal Nehru still I think is the best as per our discussion, and from my perspective I would pick him because he was in the office for longer term and he did a lot of other things as well. VP Singh is the second. Maybe Narasimha Rao is touch and go. Worst stays the same. Modi, Indira Gandhi, and Rajiv Gandhi. So that's about it. I think there were 3 people at the max who were watching it live. Maybe later, but it is okay. We did it in a short period of time. I just posted it only by 6:30. I think it will be there, right? This live stream will be there for our people can catch it up whenever they want. And I will also try to make a highlight video of things we discussed, shorten it, maybe 10-15 minute video and post it. And few people have commented, thank you to them. And people, if you are watching here and you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. And Anbu, you have any Instagram or anything that you want people to follow?
No, not yet. I will share it later.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, maybe in the future, there might be collaborations between Anbu and me, and you can expect some videos here also. Or if he posts a video in any other platform or channel, I'll just share the links with you guys as well. So all the best, Anbu. Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, everyone. Thanks to those 3 guys, and one of them is me.
No. It's not you. Not you.
Oh, is it okay? Okay. I was also, like I also had it in another tab, and I was just, checking it once in a while.
Oh, okay. No, we have 2 comments as well, right? We have 2 comments actually. So people,
Prem and John.
yeah, people seem to have watched, but that doesn't matter. It will be there for our people
That
who
doesn't
catch.
stop us from, like posting more videos like this. Sure, we'll do that.
Yeah,
And don't
obviously.
forget bell button and all that. Go ahead with the usual template.
Yeah. You can also share this video with your friends in your timeline. Maybe they will give some subscriptions and likes.
Sure. I'll do that.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's my kid.
That's a daughter.
to all our subscribers, that
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
That's playing with the chapati.
What's her name, Anbu?
Kalamika.
Kalamika. Oh,
Yeah.
nice name. Okay, Anbu, thanks for doing
Thank you
this.
so much.
It's a great conversation. I would have messed it up or I would have felt uncomfortable if I had done this alone. I had planned this to do alone after January 26th, but it would not have been fun. Even if the other guest, if Arun had joined, it would have been more fun actually. But
Yeah.
it's unavoidable. We'll try to have some other stream with Arun in the future.
Sure. But yeah.
Thank
Sure.
you. Thanks
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Yeah. Like the video and share.